What did the popular kid at your school do to go from cool to an absolute outcast? Story 1. Bullied everyone. I went to school with a girl from 1st grade to 3rd, and then later again from 7th to 9th grade. This girl was very popular in middle school. She was rich, wore designer clothes, and had a big house. In a town full of middle or working class people, that made you special. It did if you were a kid anyway. So this girl, let's call her Karen, was a rude witch, even as a child. She constantly looked down on the other girls in class for not wearing designer clothes or not owning the latest Tamagotchi. I remember Karen having a ring of girls around her, showing off her latest things at recess. I was a bit more tomboy as a child, so I hung out with the dudes mostly. So I mostly watched her worshipping from afar. I also thought this might make Karen and co. ignore me because I wasn't even near them. But no, I was wrong. Me hanging with only guys was weird, and me not wanting to look at her new handbag was weird, and so on and so on. Weird me. As I said, Karen was a huge bully, and she loved making comments about me and how I dressed and acted to her group. First, it was mostly behind my back, and I remember everyone looking at me and laughing. It escalated quickly, and soon she said it to my face. But, in that nice, condescending way. I mostly tried to avoid her and hung with the boys, as stated, so I soon wasn't her main focus. No, it was a nice, slightly overweight boy. We'll call him Skate, because later he was always skating around on his board. Karen loved picking on Skate because of his very low self-esteem, mostly about his body. This brat knew where to pick where it hurt. It was so bad that Skate almost cried nearly every week because of something Karen had said to him. The thing I remember most was when Skate had his birthday, which for kids, it's almost a holy day. We had PE, and we were in the woods playing a sort of hide and seek. Suddenly, I hear a loud cry and Skate screaming. Everyone found Karen and him very quick because of the noise. She had apparently pushed him over the edge, and he had a full-blown meltdown, not hurting her, but crying so hard. I'm not sure, but I think he even said he wanted to end his life because of the things Karen said. He went home the rest of the day, and my hate for Karen grew. I know she was mean to everyone, but this is what I more specifically remember. But again, she was a bratty child. Just mean. She hurt me many times, but I can't list them all. It's so much. Also an animal abuser, but that is a story for another day. 4th grade, I moved to another school, and Karen left my mind. I liked my new school better. In my small town, there were a few middle schools, but only one higher school for grades 7 to 9, which means I was to encounter Karen again. And I did. At first, it looked like nothing had changed. She hadn't. Still a witch. But I slowly came to see that fewer people talked to her. More and more people started making mean comments about her. Even I joined in because I was angry and a vengeful witch at that age. Karen went from being praised for her new shoes to people trying to throw mud on them. Her mean comments suddenly were answered with 10 more about her. 9 grades rolled around, and she had almost no one. I had French with her, and while I still actively hated her, I remember her coming into class soaking wet. Someone had bombarded her with water balloons and watercolor. I remember coming into class and she just looked defeated. I did feel a tiny bit sad for her, but again, I was still angry, so I didn't care. We graduated in grade 9 and she had no friends. It was a long way down, but she crashed hard enough in her own time. Last I heard, she has anorexia, which really sucks, and I hope she gets better, but I don't think anyone from our school will ever forgive her. She's no one now. Story 2. Ooh, I've been waiting to tell this story. In high school, there was this girl whose life ended in a car accident. She was driving, and I believe she either had her birthday or got her license, something big. Now, I don't like this girl. Personally, I thought she was a witch and smooth, so it didn't affect me at all. But all of her other popular friends were heartbroken. Keep in mind, I grew up in a small town, so we all grew up with this girl. Enter in the dumb blonde shift, who we will call Jody. Jody was a girl who came to our school a year or 2 before this accident and made friends with the popular crowd. But dang, she was stupid. One day in class, she tried to correct our teacher about farms and how only corn and cows can be farmed. Everything else you can buy at the store. Anyway, Jody had been dating this guy, Jeff, we'll call him, around the time of the accident. Jeff was a very smart, calm, collected guy, and everyone loved him, and he was great friends with the girl that passed away. Jody, who didn't get along with the passed-away girl, started bad-mouthing her and posting stuff on Facebook about how that girl deserved to have her life ended. I was at my locker in between classes, and Jody's was a few away from me. Out of nowhere, I see Jeff fly past me and repeatedly keep shoving her up against the lockers and screaming in her face that she's a witch and had no right saying those things. Jody started crying and calling him names and tried to walk away, but he kept shoving her. Nobody was stepping in to help, and who the heck knows where the teachers were. I slid my bag on the floor and stepped in between them, my front to him and her behind me and the lockers. I asked him to stop and go left, but he just kept repeating that I needed to move. This kind of took me back because I had a small rep about not putting up with this. In middle school, I shoved and lifted a girl up against some lockers for saying crap about my friend who had cancer and outsmarted a physically abusive bully. Didn't even have to put my hands on her, but that's a story for another time. He kept trying to get around me, but I had my hand on his chest and just kept him at a distance. It was clear he didn't want to hurt me, so he wasn't trying too hard, but I'll never forget the look on his face. It was so out of character for him. Now, at the time this was going down, I had no idea what was going on, and that Jody had said those things. Finally, a teacher came over and split us up. Jeff was escorted to the principal's office, Jody went to the nurse, and I went to class. Towards the end of the day, I was pulled into the principal's office to give my statement. While I waited my turn, there were 2 other people there who were the passed-away girl's friends and saw what had happened earlier that day. I overheard them talking about what Jody said and got confused. When I talked to the principal, I asked if it was true what Jody had said, and he confirmed it. Not sure if he should have done that. I was floored. As much as I didn't like the girl, I was so ticked off at what Jody had done. To this day, I wish I had let Jody get her butt beat. Story 3. 9 of them, actually, who all cheated constantly for 4 years to get flawless GPAs and became the top 10 of our class. They also all got into prestigious universities. The high school I went to was extremely academically competitive, so needless to say, when the top 10 were announced, everybody was livid, especially the kids who should have been in the top 10, including my friend who was 15th ranked. Only the unpopular salutatorian earned her grades honestly, and she got the loudest applause at graduation. You may ask, did they ever get caught? No. We all saw them cheat. There was an underground test answers dealer at my school, believe it or not, but nobody took it seriously all those years. Also, honestly, because most students were cheating themselves and did not want to lose their source of answers by ratting someone out. The academic pressure at my school was that high. By the time these kids were top 10 and had been accepted to college, they slacked off. So when people finally reported them, there was never any proof that they cheated. Story 4. When I was a kid, my best friend had a popular older sister who was a junior in high school on the varsity cheerleading team. A party got busted that the whole team was at. When it came out, the school kicked every girl off the squad and banned them from extracurriculars, but took no action against boys from the football team that were at the same party. Her dad was a lawyer and sued the school over it on behalf of all the girls. They didn't even win, but the rest of the school hated her for trying to get the football team in trouble. It was a small community, and there was a lot of bad blood over it. Her dad ended up moving so that she and her brother, who was a freshman, could live with him and go to another school. We were in elementary school when it happened, and my friend stayed with her mom. By the time we got to high school, it had blown over, but the separation was hard on her family, and her parents got divorced. Story 5. Throwaway, as a popular to Outcast kid is still a close friend and knows my Reddit handle. In 8th grade, he was popular, kind, and well-liked as a jock in a small Midwest school. He was showering in the locker room after basketball practice, as we'd all done 100 times before, but this time he suddenly got aroused for no apparent reason. Dude was mortified and moved to one of the corner shower heads to hide and wait for it to subside. One of the other popular jocks saw it, called him out, and it was all over. He was ostracized by the jocks and bullied mercilessly from that time till he graduated senior year. They nicknamed him Woody and spread rumors that he was gay. I don't know how he managed to get through high school with his sanity. Turned out well for him in the end. He dropped sports and focused on academics in high school, got into a good college, and is more successful than the buttbags that bullied him. He has an amazing wife and kids. Story 6. Last year was my freshman year, so there was this kid who was literally as dumb as a pile of rocks. But he was popular. He was also a butt, so I don't know why people liked him. He was selling jewels and other vapes to the other underclassmen. Well, this dummy stored all of his stock in his locker, and when the school did their locker checks, vapes and jewels just came pouring out of this guy's locker. We were all kind of laughing, but anyways, he got called to the office and asked to explain what the fudge just happened. They offered to lighten his punishment if he could tell them others who might have had vapes. Needless to say, this kid ended up ratting on a good 55 kids who all got suspended in the Great Vape Bust of 2K19 at my school. No one bought from him again, and no one really talked to him after that. Story 7. Made fun of a cool teacher behind his back, but in hearing distance, so the teacher obviously heard several times. The teacher dragged a leg slightly, and the kid would drag his leg behind the teacher's back and laugh about being a gimp. His friends would laugh with him. Eventually, though, they told him that it wasn't cool. He kept at it, though, and apparently made fun of practically everyone behind their back. It caught up to him, and everyone hated him, but his small group of stoner friends. Eventually, someone snitched that he had drugs in his locker, and he got expelled. The principal could have easily not involved police, but even he knew how much of a jerk this kid was. That's what you get when you tick everyone off, and even the principal and teachers don't give a crap if you ruin your life. Story 8. Young, pretty girl, let's call her Karen. Karen is a cheerleader and cross-country runner, really popular, junior. Then you have Chad, who's pretty much stereotypical of Chad. Tall, baby blue eyes, star quarterback, good grades, nice to everyone, senior. Both got drunk and high at a party and decided to have consensual sleepy time with each other. Karen never mentioned having a boyfriend in college. Karen doesn't want to lose her boyfriend, so she cries that Chad raped her. Everyone knew it was a lie because she bragged about finally being with Chad and hoping she will date him and marry him, etc. Police got involved and they investigate. Found out she was lying, she becomes a social outcast with no friends, and her boyfriend broke up with her. Story 9. He gave up an interception for a touchdown that led to a loss in the big game. The entire school hated him. His football career never recovered as he was so shocked by that moment he couldn't throw right anymore. He wasn't like a top prospect or anything, but he did get the attention of some state colleges. He ended up with a scholarship to a school that hadn't won a football game in at least a decade at that point. He stayed there for a year before leaving college and coming home. He's done okay for himself. He manages several local car washes and has a family. Story 10. Guy was a total D-bag. Used to send random dong pics to my girlfriend and tons of other girls until most females blocked him. 3 years later, he passed away of an overdose. His brother is a great guy. We're good friends, and he enlisted and is doing great. I'd like to say I feel bad for him, but I don't. His own choices drove everyone away. His funeral is on the same day as another guy in his grade who passed away of cancer. Everyone loved this kid. Chances are no one will come to his funeral. I just feel bad for his family at this point. Story 11. Is it weird that I can't even identify who was popular in my high school? I was so disconnected from my school at the start of my sophomore year, I have no idea who was and wasn't. I had my friends and mostly ignored everyone and everything else, and then even shortly after high school, only kept in contact with 3 or 4 of them. I skipped dances, pep rallies, etc., so there was really no way for me to know for sure. Now I'm curious. Maybe my yearbooks would tell me, if I even bought them those years. Story 12. She moved here from Africa, and no one liked her at first. After she made friends with 2 other outcasts of the class, they devised a plan to get back at the popular kids. So she befriended all the popular kids, and when she did that, everyone started to love her. But then she tore them apart from the inside, fed one girl weight loss bars, which really just made her fat, stole that girl's boyfriend, and spread rumors that one of the teachers was selling drugs. And to top it all off, she pushed that girl in front of a bus. Story 13. One popular girl got really drunk on a night out and took a crap on some random family's front lawn right out in the open in front of people. The family took pictures of it happening, and they ended up on the front page of the local paper with a headline about teens going wild. They blurred her face, but enough people were there that word got around who it was. Turns out it's hard to look someone in the eye once you've seen a picture of them pooping. Story 14. I don't know what happened to me, but for some reason, everybody in 6th grade thought I was the greatest thing ever, and then after summer, it was like my time was up. I'm a funny guy, but I'm definitely nerdy, so I don't know. Maybe I had some really good jokes in 6th grade, and then my 7th grade was kind of B material, but I really felt like somebody that summer just said, hey, that's enough of this guy, and that was it. I'm still an outcast and a loser. Story 15. There was this football player at my school who bullied a gay student. The gay student got back at him by giving the football player a bejesus, willingly. He wasn't drunk. The gay guy told everyone about it, and he had a picture of his pee-pee, which ruined the football player. He showed people the picture instead of posting it to avoid a charge for child pornography. I'd say he played his cards right. Today, we would call this a pro-gamer move. Story 16. Was a proper decent guy and footballer. He developed a persistent knee injury, which cut his youth playing career short. He was never going to be pro, but he was the best we had. He developed a dependency on pain relief and became a massive jerk to people and to his girlfriend. Thankfully, she stuck with him, and with her help and persistence, he got clean, and the proper, sound guy missing since our childhood was returned to everyone's delight. Story 17. There was one newish kid who had just entered one of the cool kids groups when he was caught doing it with his sister. Yes, his sister, in a school cupboard. Well, he literally ran out of the school and home completely naked, so everyone saw him running. He and his sister transferred after that, never came back in. The cool kid group that he hung out with, their reputation really suffered. They had to split up and join other social groups. Story 18. He experienced a sudden bout of explosive diarrhea in the middle of changing for gym class. He ran out of the locker room in his soiled shorts and smeared liquid poop over every floor and wall he came across as he ran home. I mean, you feel bad because it could happen to anyone, but he was a real bumhole that bullied a bunch of younger kids. He was out for weeks and transferred very soon after. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.